Hi everybody and welcome back. This, as you know, is my series of vlogs on anything to do with aesthetics, and at the moment we're working our way through fillers because it seems the logical thing to do rather than skipping and jumping around. But I am happy to skip and jump if you just tell me. So this week I thought I'd talk about another problem area. So we've covered hands, which are a problem area and often people don't have a solution. And we've covered tear troughs. So I thought that we would cover necks. And usually I show you my rubbish old hands or things, but I'm okay with my neck, but lots of people aren't. And it's really interesting that I actually see really young people, you know, as young as 28, with issues with their neck. And then obviously I see older women. And the issues are generally different in those two ages. So the younger people that I've seen tend to have very fixed lines, not caused by anything obvious, so it's not that they're overweight and their skin pushing and causing a line. They just seem genetically to have these deep lines that one would expect over time, but that they've developed very early on. And the rest of their skin texture on the neck is perfect. So there's nothing wrong with the skin texture. It's not about skin sagginess. It's just about the way that the neck is bending for them anatomically. It's probably genetic that's causing lines. So that's one area of the neck that is difficult, and I'll talk about that in a second. And then the other more common thing we see on necks is people quite often come and they say, look at this, I hate it. And in terms of the jowls hanging down, it's not actually your neck, so we're going to park that for the time being. In terms of crepiness and sagginess on the neck, particularly over the thyroid and the voice box here, it can get really crepey. Then yes, it's a difficult area. It's a dead giveaway for age, and we often see women that have got absolutely smooth faces from their facelifts, but they have a rubbish old neck. So you do need to try and do something about the neck. You're never going to make it perfect, obviously, if you're going to match it with everything else that you're doing. Same as the hands, really. So first off, let's talk about those younger women, because it's not such a big area, but it is something that I think that people didn't realise there was a solution for. And to be honest, nor did I, because the normal solutions wouldn't necessarily work. So with these women that I've had, and I've only had a handful of them, with these fixed deep lines, and it's usually 2 or 3 lines, you know, literally there, there and there, I've used normal filler. I've used normal filler, and I've used a needle generally. You can use a cannula, but a cannula can be quite tricky around the neck and quite uncomfortable, and also more difficult to control because of that terrain, as it were. It's like trying to slide a long pipe over some mountains. So I quite often use a needle, so they are going to have more holes and more bruising. But I've used a nice soft filler, something like Restylane Refine or Define, and I literally, with a needle, feed it under those lines and lift them out. Now, when I first did this, I was very sceptical as to whether it would work or not, because would it stay in place? Would it actually lift out the lines? And it actually has worked, and it's worked really well. And I think we have an example or two on the Instagram page, so do have a look. And if there isn't one there, shout and I will get the lovely Phoebe to put one up, because I have them obviously in my files. And it worked really nicely, and it doesn't get rid of them completely, because that would be magician work. And if you see photos with them gone completely, I would suggest it's more Photoshop than filler. But anyway, I don't ever Photoshop my photos, as you know, which is why they're also rubbish, because I'm not a photographer and I don't pretend to be. But at least you know you're getting the real thing. So nice soft filler, one that spreads nicely, like Restylane Refine or Define, with a needle, just feeding it underneath those lines. And it works so nicely on the girl that we did it on. We didn't have enough filler to do all 3 lines, so we decided that rather than her, you know, spend money when we didn't absolutely know if it was going to work, we would just do 1 syringe of filler and see how far it took us. And it took us almost 2 complete lines, and then if it worked, she would come back for the other line. And she did come back, because it worked very, very well. And so we then used another syringe, we did the top line, and then we just touched up the other lines as well. And it worked really nicely. So that's one solution for a problem which is not so common, but I think when young women do have it as a problem, they don't know that there's a solution. So there's a potential solution. Now we get on to the bread and butter of necks and the problems that we see. So as I've said, crepey skin, looseness, sagginess and the lines is a combination of ageing and one we see quite often in older women. Now for it to be really bad, it's generally in women over 55 and above, but obviously it's really genetic skin ageing, and it's also down to how much sun you've had, because 80% of wrinkles and skin ageing is caused by sun. So for those women, it just depends on assessing them when they come and deciding what's best. So the traditional way of treating it is with a skin booster or a collagen stimulator to try and improve the quality of the tissue underneath the skin. I've been having really good results with Profilo. So I have used skin boosters, Restylane skin boosters on necks, and I've had some success, but if I'm honest with you, which I always try and be, Profilo works better. And the way that I use Profilo is I divide the neck up into little squares, and then I put a bleb of Profilo into each square because there's going to be spread around it, and you put it very superficially so you get these little bumps, little white bumps that sit above the skin and can take 24 hours to 48 hours to go down. But as they go down, they dissipate into the surrounding skin, so you cover all of those little squares. And then they work in two ways. So they hydrate, they attract water, which plumps up the skin, and they also stimulate collagen growth and improve it that way. So what is Profilo? Sorry, I should have said that first, really shouldn't I? Told you I do this off the cuff, I've got no notes. So Profilo is a hyaluronic acid that's cross-linked in a different way to normal fillers that you would use to lift out cheeks and noses, etc. It's cross-linked very lightly, and then it sits very superficially in the skin, more superficially than most fillers that we would use, very similar to skin boosters. I'm really sorry about the hedge cutters that are going in the background, but what can I do? London life. And then it does its work there by hydrating and stimulating collagen. You have to have more than one treatment, so generally at least two, I would say, about a month to 6 weeks apart, possibly 3, and then a top up in a year's time. It works really well, and all of the women that I've done it on have said that they feel the difference. It feels tighter and they see the difference, and it improves over time. So that's the beauty of Profilo. So I think nowadays, although I am, as you know, a Restylane fan across the range, and I do use skin boosters all the time for acne scars, I have used them on a neck and I would again. I've just at the moment found that Profilo's probably given slightly better results. So I'm using Profilo, depending on the neck, getting very good results. It's a quick and easy treatment. You will have between 9 and 12 little bumps that will take a little while to go down, so maybe a polo neck or a scarf, so maybe do it in winter, I don't know. You can get bruising on the neck. I know whenever I've done Botox for my platysmal lines, I've always got little bruises, so you can get bruising, but for this one I prefer to use a needle just because of the placement, so it's a risk, but it's worth it because you get a nice neck at the end of it. And really it should be done in combination with other things. So depending on what's going on in the neck. So if, for example, you ready for this? You've got these platysmal bands which are showing, and not just when you do that because we don't often walk around like that, which are showing and which are dragging everything down, it's worth using a bit of botulism toxin in there to relax those, and that works really well. And then obviously using Profilo or skin boosters to actually resurface the skin, generate collagen growth. And if you think there are any fixed deep lines going across which are not being addressed by the Profilo, and that's what I was referring to earlier, when I've tried Profilo on those younger women with the fixed 3 lines, it hasn't worked well. It just hasn't been able to get those deep lines. So you might want to do a combination of Profilo, a Restylane Refine Define, and possibly toxin in order to get the overall result. But having said all of that, not everybody needs that by far, and the women that I have who have just had the Profilo have had really good results. So again, another little anti-aging trick that isn't your face, but supports your face so that everything matches. Necks. So I hope that was helpful. As ever, any questions, just pop them in the comments below the vlog on YouTube, or go over to our Instagram page and have a look at the pictures and let me know what you think and ask any questions. And if there's anything else you want me to cover, I will happily cover it. I hope you're enjoying these. Take care, stay safe, and see you again very soon when I may have had a haircut. I'm not promising, but it's possible. Alright, take care for now. Bye.